So I just got back from the pool, washed my hair, and it's like fully frizzy, but whatever. That it is what it is. Pool life, beach life. Your hair is frizzy nonstop. But and I was just cooking some fried rice, and I was just gonna lay low and like not do anything today because it's 6 p.m. now. So I was just gonna be like wind down. But my little one fell asleep, and it's quiet. My older one is just doing his own thing. So I was like, okay, now's the time. Let me just record like a channeled message. Maybe I'll do a tarot reading, but I'm seeing how my energy is if I'm alert enough to pull some cards. But what I really want to talk about, and I was talking about in my last message, but I recorded a 10-minute reading and then 10 minutes, like I recorded a longer reading, but 10 minutes of the most crucial part where I was channeling in like crazy got deleted. So I was like, okay, let me just do another, let me just talk about that, elaborate on a little bit more. And I was watching other stuff that kind of coincide with what I was thinking. But I got this new shirt, Don't Stop Dreaming. Look at how cool those colors are. And the dream catcher. So nice, right? So I want to talk about this. And I think it's very important. So this message is probably going to be all over the place because I want to, like, my brain is working in the background and it has like a million things that it wants to say and how to piece it together. So I was talking about how there's levels, right? There's the 3D world, and you're doing your day to day, you're on autopilot, you're going to your 9 to 5, and that's the 3D world, right? But then you start seeing through the 3D world and be like, oh my God, there's so much corruption in it. Look at what's happening around here. All these things, right? But then there's another level where there's people in the 3D world that are in control of the puppets, those in power that we see on the stage at face value, but there's people above it, right, that control things. But then even above that, there's the Anunnaki who control those people, right? Higher beings that control this whole system and how it operates. And then I said the third one is source energy, who controls everything in this whole universe. But yeah, so where do I want to start? How do I want to shape this message? Basically, I'll start with what I was watching, and it was like basically saying how we can't just look at things as like free will or predetermined or one or the other. It's way more advanced than that. And to understand the workings of the universe, we'll never fully understand it. All we can kind of do is grasp at straws and try to put the puzzle pieces together, like what I try to do, constantly seek truth messages so that I can put these puzzle pieces together. But one of the things that she said that pointed out that was what I believe in is that natural laws, like all we can do is really focus on natural laws, universal principles. And I did it like a year ago. I wrote out what ChatGPT said natural laws were. And I need to do another video on that, breaking it down and really talking about natural laws and finding out more about natural laws. Because, okay, how do you want to play this game, right? Say you're in a video game. Realize that you're basically in a video game. And you're the character of your own story, like those role-playing games where you go and you explore and you quest, the ones where so you go on this quest, right? And you have to find the clues along the way, put the puzzle pieces together, collect things, help people along the way, whatever the quest is. So it's like that's what, even I remember when I was in grade 12, and this is before I knew anything, but I had to create this project in neuroscience. And I got a Monopoly board, and I said life is like a game, like a Monopoly game. And the pieces, and I don't remember exactly what I did, but like basically I made this extravagant thing, and I got like 98% on it because the teacher was like, whoa, like you really thought outside the box with this, right? And so sorry, it wasn't my neuroscience class. What am I talking about? It was my philosophy class. But my teacher was like, wow, you really thought outside the box with that. And so it's like, from then, grade 12, when I was whatever, how old, years old, 18 years old, 17 years old, I knew that life was like a game, and we had to treat it like that. Like back then I knew it, that life was a game, and we had to treat it as a game. So you have to decide, okay, you're in this human body, you're having this human experience, and there's puppeteers that are controlling this whole system and how it operates, right? The only way you can quote unquote exit the game is if you end the game. And how do you end the game? We know how to end the game. But if you want to live in this game and you don't want to exit just like that, and you want to use this game to your advantage, which is about raising your frequency. So your soul is in this meat suit, this body. And the whole point is for you to raise your frequency. That's what I always talk about. And this is why I'm talking about it again, because I think that like people get caught in the fact that this is a play, this is simulation. So like, what's the point of anything, right? They're feeding off our energy. They're controlling us. They're making it where the game feels so complicated. There's either super rich people and super poor people, that it's like an unjust game, right? But the thing is that the reason why the game is so unjust as well is because we create our own reality with our thoughts. So we've been buying into their programming by choosing to be a part of their system. It's a choice at the end of the day whether we want to live by their rules and consume what they provide for us, food, water, shelter, like all the things that they provide for us in a neatly wrapped box and give it to us, but it's filled with chemicals, and it's not good for you, and you have to pay for it, and all of these things. We've allowed ourselves to fall into their program, their system of how they want things to be, and then they feed off our energy through fear. And also probably positivity. I talked about it last time in my video, because of the fact that they put a worship gene in us. But the worship gene is instilled with fear, because if you don't worship, then you're going to hell, right? So it's like kind of like, instead of seeing how this game is messing you over and how they've created an unjust system that is feeding off of your energy, be like, okay, accept that as the reality, that this is what's happening, and then say, okay, how do I quote unquote escape this game in this reality? Right now, they have their rules and regulations, but as people are learning, right, we're learning that words are spells. We know that you look at Black, if you haven't yet, look up Black Laws Dictionary. Black Laws, I think that's what it's called. And it will tell you all the meanings, like what human means. Human, I think, means alien, something like that. Like, I remember I was like on that quest of looking up that before, but I just got off of it because I was like, okay, I accepted that all these words that they're using, but I should look more into it, because I want to be selective of the words I use, because if I'm using words that are spells that are limiting me, then I don't want to use those words. Just like swearing. They said that swearing is spells that you're casting, right? And negative spells that you're casting. Emojis. I stopped using emojis because emojis are all like spells. Like, they're literally from the one of these like demonic books, and they've put it's all like symbols for spells, and they've made them as emojis. So like, everything that they do is for you, to control you, to keep them under your control, and to program you. And that's what you have to accept as the reality. They're programming you constantly. Nothing that they do is trying to do it to benefit you. It's to control you and to have power over you, and the higher beings are to feed off your energy. So, okay, let's say all that's true now, right? We're accepting all of that as the truth. You can choose to or not, but like, I'm going down that path that I've accepted that as the truth. So if I've accepted that as the truth, then I'm like, okay, so how do you escape their game where you're not a part of their system anymore? It's about not relying on their money, right? Like, it's about getting to a place where you still need their money to buy certain things, but if you can less and less and less need their money and need to work in their system, if you can do transactions where, say, you're knitting stuff and then you're selling the stuff that you knit, so you're taking like transactions, and you give up your birth certificate so that you're no longer a part of their system, so you don't owe them anything anymore because you're not a part of their system, right? To get to that place, like, you have to be super sustainable. Like, it's like reservations, right? The native reservations, like, they're not part of their system. Like, they're doing their own thing. They own their own land, and they're just not a part of the system. If they go out and they do something that's wrong, then they become part of the system, because of the fact that they came out and like they were a part of society and doing something within their society. So it's like I'm trying to, there's so many thoughts in my head right now, but basically what I'm trying to say is that it's about majority of us getting out of their system. If you don't want to be a part of their system, if you don't want to abide by their rules and regulations, and you want to work on keep raising your frequency, we have to build communities, come together, take the cast that you've made in that their society, and build a community of people that are like-minded, growing your own land, making your own food, own electricity, own water, well systems, like doing everything where you do not need them. You don't have to walk into a grocery store. You don't have to go to their tax office. Like, you don't have to need them for anything. And the thing is, with the education system, even in Spain, you're not allowed to homeschool your kids even if you wanted to. I thought I was going to homeschool them in September, but I changed my mind for the socialization. But you're not allowed to. So the only way to do it is if you start your own school, and then you would still have to abide by their regulations. So it's like, you can somehow do outdoor schools, like what my idea is, like outdoor schools. So say you have the credentials, and like I have my English degree, so say I wanted to start a school and did it like there's so many of them, like outdoorsy schools. I guess there's a certain curriculum that you would have to abide by if you don't give up your birth certificate and you choose to still be a part of their state, society, whatever it is, right? Because the whole thing about giving up your birth certificate is really hard unless you're unless you were, I guess, born in that place. Then you basically are only allowed to stay in that place if you gave up your birth certificate. So if I gave up my birth certificate, like, I wouldn't basically be allowed to stay in Spain. I would have to go back to Canada, where I'm from, and then live in that area if I wanted to give up my birth certificate. So that's why the birth certificate thing is like, okay, if you're going to stay in the country that you were born in, then you can give up your birth certificate, and if you don't want to travel. But there's other ways. There's always loopholes to get around everything, because we shouldn't be like, they shouldn't be able to tell us not to do, when it's like, why do you own the land? Because you fought some wars, and because you chose to control and conquer and colonize, and that's why you own the land. But then they were all human beings, and from time they've been walking and roaming the land, and people didn't own it. But just because we bought into their system, and they use force and war and weapons and all these things to conquer the world, that's why they own parts of the world, right? Okay, let me just simplify everything. So if you want to escape their game and not be a part of your system, you have to give up your birth certificate. But I think if you give up your birth certificate, you can only stay in the place that you were born, right? Sorry, my son just woke up from his nap. But I just want to sum this up and finish what I was saying. So you would have to stay in your place. But if you don't want to give up your birth certificate and still have privileges of the system when you need it, then the best way to escape the system is to do sustainable living. Get a land with a group of people. And the thing is, socialization, I said, is so important. But if you get a group of people that have kids and that you can socialize with, that you get along with, that are like-minded, then socializations happen. You don't need millions of people, hundreds of people to have socialization. Like, you can have a small community, and that community could potentially grow as you trust and allow people into that community who are like-minded. So you have your like-minded community. You guys are working together. You guys are creating your own system, like the Amish kind of, right? Like, where everything is within that community and they access everything within that community. So that's the way that you maximize the game. But so now you've created your community and you're doing your thing. Say you haven't even got that point yet. But the main point is always to raise your frequency, because you can still enjoy this human experience, even though you know that it's what it is, a construct, a simulation, a matrix run by higher beings, blah, 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 all these things that are truths that we don't know for sure are truths, but by putting the puzzle pieces together, we can kind of figure out that they're truths. So say you know all these things. The only thing to ascend and to escape the system is to raise your frequency. So because you're in a video game, there's always a purpose, right? There's always an end goal. In every single video game, there's always something that you need to do, a boss you need to conquer, or whatever. So it's like, that's why I say treat it as a video game. There's the boss that you need to conquer is reaching your highest self, becoming one with source. That was always our point, to become one with source. So the only way to escape it and for them not to have control over is to see through it, see everything that's going on, learning what everything is, learning what the truth of this world